Today's show is sponsored by our friends at orcacoolers.com. And from now until the end of the year, January 1st, it's the end of year clearance. Sort page with leftover 75 quart coolers, bundles, Walker soft sides, hammered chasers, etc. 12/15 is the last day to ship for Christmas, but you can always get 15% off your order if you go to www.orcacoolers.com/bourbon. orcacoolers.com/bourbon, and you'll get 15% off your order. Today's show is also sponsored by our friends at Get Picks. Now, we're working with them. They're not just our friends. We are embedded. I have Friday calls with them as we're going over all of the new development and we're going over how the app is changing. There's so many cool things with the app, and the thing that I'm finding is the more tastings you put in, the more you get out of the app at the end of the day. It's going to give you recommendations. It's going to tell you people you match with. And coming soon, December 10th, there's going to be Picks Packs. You can get a whole sample thing. It's a trio of different sample packs, so there's 3 whiskeys in every pack, and you can get them and try things out and figure out what you like and don't like. There's theme packs. Pay attention. You can sign up and get more information about Picks Packs. Go to pickshop.com. That is pickshop.com. Get the app if you have an Apple phone. It is not out for Android yet, but we're working on it. Make sure you download it on the App Store. Make sure you sign up to figure out about Picks Packs. They're coming, and if you have any feedback, let me know. I am talking directly with the people. I'm talking about what we actually need to do to make the app better and make the experience better for you. So reach out to me. I want to hear. Cheers, y'all. What you got for me, Zeke Baker?
Well, I went traveling over the Thanksgiving break, and so I'm on the flight back, and for some reason, this just caught me off guard. I don't know. I'll pitch it to you and see if it seems odd or not, but sitting at the bar, waiting on the plane, getting some brunch, cocktail or two, whatever. Guy next to me, I assume, is doing the same, but then eats maybe a third of it or something, and then gets a go box. I'm like, it's the airport. Why in the hell would you get a go box? I'm not going to take it home and have leftovers the next day or something. Like, what are you going to do? Drag around this $12 worth of food you paid for that was probably worth $5 because it was the airport and all the time and energy to keep up with it versus either just eat it now or throw it away, man.
Does it really matter if he took it to go on the plane?
I don't know. The way it happened, it just caught me off. Sometimes something catches you off guard. Like, why in the hell would you do that? Just eat it or chunk it. Like, how long are you going to be at the airport that you're really worried about keeping up with those leftovers for 3 or 4 or 5 or 6 hours? You're going to be hungry again, essentially.
You underestimate the power of being hungry. And you are a tall, skinny, lanky guy. I know you used to be fat, but as a bigger guy, I have totally gone on a plane before with some food that I ate half of in the terminal and then I'm ready to eat the other half on the plane.
Were you rushed, in a time crunch?
Yeah. Sometimes. Maybe it could have been.
Sat down and had a dream.
Maybe he had a layover and he knew. I just shushed you. Maybe he had a layover and he knew that he had 15 minutes to get something. By the time he waited in the whole line, it was ready to board. And so he had to rush there. And it's going to be a flight. It's not a quick flight to Denver. It's not long, but it's a couple hours, right? You're going to be on there.
That's what I'm saying. This was the flight back. So who knows where. I was just in the bar. Who knows where this guy was going at the Denver airport. But I'm saying he sat down and had time to order, play on his phone, drink a full Bloody Mary. He wasn't rushed. But then it's why don't you just eat the damn food, man? Why don't you do it? Keep it up this plastic container for wherever else you're going or whatever else you're doing.
What if he wants to have it on the tray on the airplane and it's a thing, flying used to be an important thing for people. Maybe he wants the experience. He wants to have his iPad out. He wants to watch his movie. He wants to eat his food and he doesn't want to eat it while he's drinking his Bloody Mary.
Well, those trays on them airplanes ain't that damn big to have all that, bud.
I'm just saying, as I've gotten older, I criticize what people do less and less.
I'm not criticizing it. It just caught me off guards. And I didn't know if it was one of the things where I was just in a weird mood or something, or if it seemed truly kind of that don't make a damn lick of sense.
Did you just say it caught you off guards, plural?
No, I don't think so. I've been speaking really Southern lately. I think it's somewhere I was in skiing and not around hardly anybody. So if I was on the phone, it was to family or I just didn't speak to folks. So I kind of reverted back to the Southern accent.
Well, let's start the show, y'all. Hello, everyone. My name is John Edwards. With me, as always, is Zeke Baker, and together we make the Dad's Drinking Bourbon. Wherever you are, whatever time it is, thank you for making us part of your day. Zeke, you were skiing. You were by yourself in Breckenridge for a few days. How was it? You didn't get hurt this time?
No, I mean, it was a good time. Early in the season, it's not a ton of runs out there, but, all things considered, there's probably countless other scenarios that would have been much less desirable or enjoyable. So I'm not going to complain a bit about having 4 days of being pretty much disconnected and enjoying the mountain space.
I really just hope everybody had a great Thanksgiving. I know we released an episode when we got back, which was really good. You missed it. I think you would have really enjoyed this one. It was Savage and Cook with Jordan Vaya, and he was talking about, the way they do Burning Chair and the way they do Lip Service Rye, and they don't actually finish the whole batch. So like out of Burning Chair, I think it was like 17% is finished, and out of Lip Service, it's 18%. Could be vice versa on that. It could be 17 on the Burning Chair, and I don't know, but either way, it's 17, 18. I'll go back and listen to the tape. But the way they do it, it's not letting the wine overtake the rest of the whiskey, and you can actually taste the whiskey with the wine, and it complements nicely. I think you would really, really enjoy it, and I want to make sure you get some of it because I think you're going to really enjoy that stuff.
No, it sounds good. What was it we had recently that kind of fell into that niche of a wine finish that actually synergized more than dominated?
The Wolves. Good stuff. Anyways, we have so much before the end of the year. Like, we got some backlog before the end of the year we want to get through. Some of these shows are going to be shorter. Some of them might be long if we get on a tangent. Who knows? But today we are drinking Remus Gatsby Reserve. This is made by the Ross Squibb Distillery, otherwise known as MGP, to celebrate F. Scott Fitzgerald's legendary novel, The Great Gatsby. Remus Gatsby Reserve is bottled at 97.8 proof, 48.9% ABV. For those of you that are following along, when stuff ages at MGP, the proof actually goes down with the way they have those cement walls there. So it's offered in ultra limited quantities at minimum suggested retail price of $199.99 per bottle. Crafted by master distiller Ian Stirsman and his team at Ross Squibb. This is 15-year-old reserves of straight bourbon whiskey and offered at cask strength. It hit the shelves in October. We're just getting to it now. Sorry for the delay. And then Stirsman said, the Remus Bourbon brand has provided our team an opportunity to showcase the great bourbon whiskey produced here at Ross and Squibb. Like the Remus Repeal Reserve series, Remus Gatsby Reserve gave us a chance to showcase some of the best bourbons we have, in this case, some of the finest 15-year-old bourbons in our reserves. Remus Gatsby Reserve is certainly to be a highly sought-after member of the Remus Bourbon family given its limited production. I don't know if this was high rye or low rye. The Remus straight bourbon whiskey is a high rye blend, and it's aged 5 years. I'm assuming, it doesn't say if this is high rye or low rye, but if Remus is high rye already, Zeke, I guess we got to assume this is high rye too?
Fair enough.
Who knows? It's 15 years old. It is 97.8 proof, 48.9% ABV, and it's $200 a bottle. That's all you really need to know from there.
And that it's not a blend of various years or mashes as opposed to what's the one we reviewed a few weeks back?
Remus Repeal Reserve. This one was a whole different things of different mashes and years.
Yeah, that's the one that basically took over Met Select.
Yes.
Gotcha.
What did you think about this?
I thought that it had really some char on the entry, pretty much immediately leaves the tongue fairly peppery. Revisiting again and trying to work through that initial pop, so to speak. I thought that it started out maybe like either stone fruit or grapefruit. I'm not really sure which one, but my takeaway was simply that your tongue tries to get fruity notes out of it. Ultimately, it just comes off as bitter and dry to me. Moving through it a little more, there's a couple of flashes that reminded me of what I would call candy corn, just because I can't think of anything else that tastes specifically like that. But when I get it, that's all it reminds me of. If you've bitten off, just that portion of candy corn, you'll know exactly what I'm talking about, I think. Last takeaway I guess I had on it was, and John, you've probably done this because you cook a lot and I don't, but like sometimes folks use like Dr. Pepper as one of the main ingredients in like a marinade or something.
Yeah.
I'm thinking if you did that and then like you took the burnt ends from, a brisket or whatever they marinated with that kind of like, sauce or whatever on it, this would be about what you'd taste.
The interesting thing for this one, for me, the nose, I think there's like a tobacco, oak, and like patchouli. It's almost like a men's scented candle, like, You know, like when you go into the store and you smell the scented candle and you're like, oh, that one was made for a dude. That's kind of how I feel about this one. Like
Patchouli. That's a strong word, man. Oof.
it's like a dude scented candle.
What kind of dudes you hang out with that smell like patchouli?
Hipsters. Hipsters, dude. Lots of rye spice on the taste, which leads into heavy oak. Not as much as I would have thought, but like there's still a lot of oak there. And I think the oak prevents a lot of the other notes from coming through. So like you, I thought there was some fruit that really wanted to come through, but because of the oak, I think it came across more as like molasses for me than it did the fruit. Like, and I think it kind of turned like, you know how like molasses, you taste a little bit of fruit note there, but it's like it could have gone one way and then it went the other and it got real thick and like kind of got stuck in the mud. That's
Well, you've let it boil too long, and if you got in a cast iron skillet or something, like there you go.
yeah, but it's not like this isn't like burnt or anything. It's just like it didn't turn into the fruit side of it. It went more the molasses route and like, I feel like this is getting ready to get made into rum. Caramel on there too. And then, other regular bourbon notes. But I think the crazy thing about this one, at least for me, is each sip has been different. So every sip I take of this, I get like a little bit different of an experience than I did the last sip I took. And I feel like that's super interesting.
I'm not with you on that one. It's been pretty much the same each time through. Granted, when I tasted this, I didn't know the age to it at all. But then, when you threw that up that it was 15 year, I think it's, a common perception among a lot of folks that whereas for a lot of distillate from various places, older is better. But I think more and more folks really agree that with MGP, 8-9 years up to maybe 11 tops, that's the wheelhouse. And if it goes past that, it's just tough to find primo juice from them, or what you would say it was the best expression it could have been.
Yeah, 12 is where I kind of really teeter. And when somebody says like, hey, it's a 12-year MGP, I'm like, it's either going to be really good or not. It's, and that's when you're like, hey, man, can I get a sample? Like,
no, I'm with you totally. And I think years ago, for folks that, tried a whole lot more and MGP was as prominent as it is now, they would just see that age statement on a label and be jumping up and down. But now it's like, hey, I got, 15-year Beam or any other distillery, out of all the big boys. All right. I'm with you. I got some 15-year MGP. Ooh.
And then that's when you ask like, okay, where was it aged?
But it's just, funny that most folks always thought of as just a, perfect rule of thumb. And then you've got the MGP kind of like asterisks out there of, well, actually this hits its spot a little differently, but also it ages differently. And like you mentioned at the beginning of the show, their proof almost always goes down because of the type of building it's in and the way it's constructed. So to me, it's not too far of a reach to really just say, well, if it seems to age and proof differently, why wouldn't the flavor profile also come along differently? All those things should be synonymous, I would think.
I agree with you. I almost feel like, when someone says like, I got 15 years, it's like the stuff that happened over at, Traverse City, where it's like, okay, it was aged in Michigan. Like I know it's not going to get as oaky like being over there than it was at MGP. Second, somebody's like, I got old MGP. I'm like, where was it aged? Let's talk about this for a minute. And I just wonder like but there's enough people that I guess like oak that, if you like oak, this is your jam, go get it, go get 3. But if you don't really like oak, this might not be your favorite.
Yeah, I think this would definitely be in the wheelhouse with some of those folks that have converted from, Scotch into bourbon, but they still have that hankering for that kind of different profile than, I think where you or I'd probably go a lot is like, I need a little more sweet in my bourbon. I'm sorry. I'm not here for that toothpick kind of stuff.
Totally get that. I think it's worth trying this in a bar and figuring out, is this going to be something you're going to go pursue or not?
Especially at the price point.
But I kind of look at like this stuff here with the Remus Repeal Reserve, that blend. And I know it's only 100 proof and it's 50% ABV, but you have 2% 14-year bourbon, 27% 10-year bourbon, 29% 8-year bourbon, 17% 10-year bourbon, 25% 8-year bourbon. Like you put all that together, it's still a hell of a blend, and it's right in the sweet spot of where I want MGP to be, with that 2% 14-year in there. But this is really more of like, if you're asking me what's a blend that I'm going to like, it's at Repeal Reserve. I'm going to go for that all day, probably over the 15-year Gatsby.
Oh yeah. And it's almost fairly surprising as high demand as MGP has been for years now. Like, how did they manage to sit on the product that long without somebody making them an offer to buy it?
Right?
How many times did they say no, no, no? And then, like, so you said no all through its sweet spot, and then you kind of put it out as this. Like, I mean, I don't know if that was the best use.
I'm with you on that one 100%. But, well, Zeke, it's storming tonight. This is going to come out tomorrow, so I'm going to work on editing this tonight. But all of you in the South, we're in for a wild ride tonight of high winds, thunderstorms, all that other stuff. So I hope everybody's safe. I hope everybody sleeps well tonight. And thank you to Luxro for sending us, and Ross and Squibb for sending us a sample. You can go ahead and find us on Facebook at Dad's Drinking Bourbon, Twitter at Bourbon Dads, Instagram at Dad's Drinking Bourbon. Please leave us an open and honest review, just like we leave open and honest reviews about the whiskey we drink. Zeke, where else can the folks find us?
Good old Nashville, Tennessee.
Cheers.
Ciao.